45 minutes of daily interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Gagba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026, beginning Monday, March 2 at 11 a.m. on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting. As the Lfa heads to elections on April 18 in Maryland County, Intel Sports brings together key stakeholders for an interactive evaluation program titled Lfa Decides 2026. This platform provides 45 minutes of daily interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Gagba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026, beginning Monday, March 2 at 11 a.m. on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting. As the Lfa heads to elections on April 18 in Maryland County, Intel Sports brings together key stakeholders for an interactive evaluation program titled Lfa Decides 2026. This platform provides 5 minutes of daily interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Gagba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026, beginning Monday, March 2 at 11 a.m. on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting.
Good morning and another welcome. This is day 4 of Lfa Decides 2026. My name is Ben Gagba with you. On today's presentation, this is the area where you've got in-depth analysis on what is going to happen at the polls in April 2026. We afford you the opportunity with stakeholders of Liberian football who've got a gobble of authority to make decisions to decide the beautiful game in our country. Today, I've invited a football enthusiast, the stakeholder, businessman, in person of Mr. Chris Jipley. I hope I get the pronunciation of the middle name correct. Chris, let me say a pleasant welcome to you.
Thank you, and good morning. It's always good being in your studio. I'm glad that I'm here today.
We'll come back to the topics we've had on discussion. I mean, we have dotted points as always. We want to keep our guests as comfortable as we can as we discuss a tough, challenging issue. Trust me, it's going to be tough, provocative, and no sides we're going to take, but our guests are probably going to be comfortable as they come here. Personally, you've been doing stuff expanding, and I must mention to the here for the first time into your sports, even though when I invited. But however,
Cabana Hotel is our dream where we put in all our efforts over the last 4 years. It's finally open now. Excellent. We have also redesigned in Dupero the Cabana Pool Bar. So business is good. Business is good.
And I was just looking at the name Cabana. I know it is one of the most famous beaches you will ever see in South America, Brazil, to be specific, called Copacabana Beach.
Yeah.
Where did you get yours?
Few years ago, I was in Cuba. I stayed at a resort called Cabana, and it was very nice. The staff was so good. I believe that was in 2018. And when I was leaving, I spoke to the owner of the property. I asked him for the plan. He gave me the plan, and I put it in the back of my pocket. I said, when I get money, I want to build this. And that's what today.
What an ambition. 2018, 8 years on, we've got Cabana replicated in Liberia, specifically Margibi County. My name is Ben. Chris is here with me. We're going to be back with you right after this short break. Okay.
As the LFA heads to elections on April 18 in Maryland County, Intersports brings together key stakeholders for an interactive evaluation program titled Lfa Decides 2026. This platform provides 4 to 5 minutes of daily interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Garba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026.
We're back. And let's say thank you. So, like I said, the questions here are tailored on the test of credibility, consistency, motives, governance, and vision. At the start, firstly, we'll start on the political aspect. Some months back, if not a year, you were a strong critic of the leadership of Mustafa Raji and even expressed interest in contesting for the LFA presidency. What exactly changed between then and now?
So a few years ago, when we got into football, we decided that there were some changes that we wanted to make. And of course, being in opposition, we created a team of individuals to help us propagate that message and make us president of the Liberia Football Association. However, like in any other society, like if you don't have close authority, you do not really know what's happening. While we were away, returned from Canada, came back and spent some money, tried to make a change. Over time, I had got to know the LFA in a quite different way. There were a few that I found out that they were all based on propaganda and not realistically accurate. And one of those, for example, we were making on Nigerian, and we had that belief. We had, and later on I found out that also we were told that the current president was squandering, and all those allegations at the time, like I said, I was part of a team of oppositions that we did not have the opportunity to investigate some of the claims we were making. And I did investigate a lot of them, and I finally realized that most of them were not accurate. And as an educated person, I don't think that I should continue with rhetorics that are not true and continue to castigate an individual that has done so much for Liberia football. So I decided that, it was the time for me to, support this president. Coming out of a collaboration at the time. So basically, my support to him is knowing the fact versus what I knew before.
And basically, some stakeholders think that your support or shift of support for this leadership is more like political than rather coming from your own conviction.
I hear that. And what I tell people is, look, me wanting to be an executive committee member, the first thing is they don't get paid until they're seated. And who calls that the president, the one that scheduled EC meetings? I'm not going in for any political reason. I do not have any other interest other than to support football. People think that my intent is more political. I don't see how it would be because I'm not getting anything from football. I'm spending money on football, and I think that that would be very unfair to me to think that I'm into this because of politics. But that aside, yes, I gained relevance out of some remarks and things that I proposed at the time.
So some statements that were made that could have been interpreted as political. But I understand football, it is what it is. But I'm into this, for football, not to take back, but to rather give to football. So.
And that means that you've been having lots of conversation with the president of the LFA decision.
And I'll answer this. I do not think over the last 3 years that I know we've spoken a few times on the phone. We never sat down to discuss, football politics. We discussed business and other aspect of that. There was no promise made to me to answer your question. And I don't see what the promise will be. Our agenda right now is to concentrate on the next 4 years coming up and support this president. I don't think where he will promise me. I don't know. The president has the right to appoint his vice presidents. I will see why people will ask that question. But the first thing is, before you get to that point, you must win as an executive committee member. So the president cannot promise you something that is not within your purview at the moment. So I don't think, no promise made to me, and I don't think this president will. I don't think he will promise anyone, based on the fact that even after a transition from opposition to him, we really do not have conversations.
Chris Weird is Chief Executive Officer of Stitches Queen. He's our guest on this 4th day of Lfa Decides. Okay, we're live from the corner, or do I say the intersection of Zubatown and GSRU. You are getting the program. My understanding is that you're also following via, is that Radio Magibi?
Radio Magibi, yes.
Radio Magibi. Yes. I know the frequency, but I love to welcome all you guys in that noble content following our broadcast on Intel. Let's now talk about motives and greed. Most people, most often, say at the time, you've most often said that people would support the opposition, people who have had interest in becoming president and executive committee of the LFA to push Mustafa Raji Asar. Their interests have been aided and abetted by greed and selfishness. How do you explain that?
I do not think so, and what I will say to that is that there are people with genuine interest on where they want football to go, but I think that the way the information was disseminated is the problem. And I'll give you an example. The former VPO, Mr. Wilmer Smith, is someone that has been part of the opposition for so long. Never disclosed to us that he was the head of the LFA construction project. Never said anything. So while we were pushing the LFA for accountability and telling the LFA that the figure mentioned for the headquarters was inaccurate after the former Secretary General said that there was money taken from GD Bank, Mr. Smith had that information, did not disclose it only because he knows that you cannot go after Mustafa and leave Wilmot, who was the head of the institution. So people head of the project. So people that speaking out now, some of which I know they are doing it genuinely with good intent. I do not think that they're doing it because of selfishness or greed. I don't think so. I strongly think that they're doing it because some of them, but there are some obviously that are doing it with selfish interest and making promises and lies and telling people all sorts of things that are not true. Those ones, of course, they only doing it because of their own interest. But yes, there are genuinity with other people that are actually propagating football messages.
So what sort of football are we going to have? What sort of democracy are we going to have in football when criticism is being labeled as conspiracy? Because on the other side of the fight, those guys have been criticizing the current leadership. So if they are not allowed to criticize the leadership, what sort of democratic football space are we to get?
So criticism is one thing. Being honest and being sincere in your criticism is another thing. Jubilee FC, for example, will go to the LFA and find documents that are not legal, fake documents. And the LFA take actions. And then Jubilee comes back and say that we are being witch hunted. So when Jubilee is pushing and the president of Jubilee goes to the LFA office and attempt to assault the president, that's not criticism. If you're going to make remarks and misinform the globe that Liberia football is so bad that the president is appointing his driver or giving contract to his driver to do mechanic work at the FA without thorough investigation on when that negotiation was held. That is it's not criticism. It's you putting an entire nation of 4.5 or 5 million people against themselves and causing confusion. So we will tolerate, even when I say we mean being an executive committee, will accept criticism, but even in our own rules, you must be held accountable. We see that across government, freedom of speech. You say it. So no one will anybody for criticizing the Football Association. In fact, we like that. I like that. All my businesses, I like criticism. I built on criticism to improve my business. It's the same with the association. But if you're going to say things that are not factual and you call that criticism, it's not. There's a whole big difference between the two of them. And this is something that the LFA has been upholding.
And I think all those people in that group opposing the current leadership, I don't think all of them have been on the wrong path. So I just want to ask you, do you accept that there are some opposition voices there that have had some genuine concern for transformation, and transparency in football? Take, for example, Benetta Ure. I've known her for some time, short period of time, but I've known her to be a very honest woman. And in truth, she's in support of Kaseko.
Okay, so I'll call one name at a time and address that. And good, you mentioned Benetta. I strongly believe that she's not, she doesn't have Liberia's football at the best interest in terms of leadership. This is someone that was brought to football by this current president and went ahead and was involved into match fixing. We all know how bad it is when it comes to and what FIFA says about match fixing. There are evidences that were produced. There were people held, meetings that were held. She and I believe Swain, another player, was also held accountable. In real life and realistically, if you go to other organizations in this region, she will be banned for life. So the LFA's decision to suspend her from football for 5 years, I think it was very...
they were lenient?
I think so. I think they were very fair. That warrant a expulsion from football. She should not be anywhere close to football. People that will do something like that and win against 7-0 for another team to qualify, that person should never come anywhere around football. And when I saw the 5 years, actually I called the president. He didn't pick up. I spoke to other people in the LFA. I said, this is not fair for football. I have followed that case for a reason. My club has been a victim of match fixing on levels. And those kind of individuals must be rooted from our football. And I don't think that she should have space anywhere, regardless of who she supports. The issue is not about who she supports. It's about the action and what she did. And Mr. Castle Kuo, for example, will come on air and say that he's going to give 50,000 to each club, put in an account in that. That by itself is worrisome. When you're making these kind of remarks and statements, and you all tell us that your advocate, it is not genuine. You try to induce people. Firstly, we don't think that you have the money to put in people's account, but even when you do that, that is a crime by itself. If you also look at is someone that is very close to me. Worked for me before. We worked together. Was propagating my message to be. So somebody that really understands and I knows well, and I knows that he understands and he articulate the issues very well. But also, I do know defend and propagate messages that are not true, that are not in the good interest of football. So because of what he, recognition like that, he came up and said that the LFA will spend money from FIFA 4.0. There is nothing. So some of his points and his advocacy can be genuine. I will speak to that, but majority because of his alignment with Mr. Cassell.
So does that mean that you and Emmett Glasgow, whom you say you worked together before, relationship between you guys have fractured? Personally,
we had a good personal relationship. We speak, but when it comes to ideas and football and what we want, what we see it quite different because of that. We do not discuss, talk about football matters. I have taken a stand. And when I took my stand, when I left the collaboration, I took my stand. He reached out to me. He respected that. And I've told him myself, I'm supporting this president. So when it comes to football, we completely separate individually. We got a good relationship, but football-wise, we're different.
Let's talk governance and transparency and accountability. You're opting for the executive committee seat. When you go on to win the seat, what reform are you prepared to table at that level?
One of the things that I have been pushing for, and I'm hoping that this current Minister of Youth and Sports can look into that, is to have the Liberia Football Association run and 100% run the national county meet. And the reason is I feel that clubs are the victim of this county meet. They sign players for so much money, and counties will come and take these players and they go in the middle of the league where on the financial responsibility, whereas the county should actually be that. And also, when it comes to the county level and most should be responsible or should take the responsibility to solicit sponsorship for advertisement on the county jersey. I don't think like what the ministry is doing now, where is straight to what's called the people from the port, APM terminal.
Okay.
I think that county.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, as a business person in Mangibi, I would love my business, my hotel, for example, to be on the county team jersey, and that's a conversation between me and the county. Money will come back. Okay. So between that and me advocating for the issue about ambulances. I know this is something that the Liberia Football Association does not have the capacity. We know that LFA cannot provide. However, there are ways that we can look outside the FIFA funding that comes in and renegotiate with Red Cross and other people to ensure that we have ambulances on the field. If it means that propagating or talking to people, we can have other companies to come in. To do that, I'm hoping we can achieve that. And also, me being an executive committee member, I'm concerned about the female games, the times the female games are played. I think most of the games are played, in the morning hours.
10 to 11, 12.
I think that should not happen. But to his credit, I think this current president is trying to address that. And how Mustafa is addressing that is by creating more infrastructure. The LFA is coming, or ATS is coming up. So if you got more infrastructure, you can play night games. Then you'll create room for the girls to play. But that's something that, as an executive committee member, I will be pushing for. And to add to that, asking the LFA, you see, the thing about the I really want to look into that. And I must say today on your channel that I was one of those that sponsored protests in this country.
Okay.
I paid people. We talked to people. And to actually preach the messages that we did not like and let Liberians know that there were things that were happening to the LFA that was not true. But when we find pushing people to go and protest, those protests affected us at Orange. We will go to Orange headquarters and protest, and no business wants to see get up in the morning and see they're all in the papers for the wrong reason. So now, as an executive committee member, how can we do this different? Is to make laws as an executive committee member. And also, what back then, you see that the national team will travel and there will be struggles financially because it's not an LFA responsibility, it is the government. But as an executive committee member, you should be financially potent. You should be able to, in the worst case where you need it, you should be able to step in and bring that relief and then come back and deal with it later. And I know at a certain point, Mr. Cassell, did that before when he was VPO. And I think that's one thing that I try to bring to the association, that, they can rely on me, you can count on me, you can trust me. Whenever there are any places that I have to come in to do some rescue, I will do that. And that's what we bring to the FA, a combination of so many things.
You talk a lot, and I just want to just hear yes or no on this. I know quite recently there are some rumors that the first and second division clubs will not be playing, their players will not play in the county meet. Do you support that?
No.
You don't support that? Do you want to say what?
Yes. The intent of this county meet from the very genesis was to spark players and get players, from the county level, from third division. That's why there were restriction for how many second division, how many first division, that right. Now, over the years, we've noticed that there are players that will actually stay home, will not play for no club at all. I mean, you can see the incident with the situation with James Tapper. Does not play for any club, sits home, do personal training, and come to the county meet because the county meet has money more than the national team. Personally, I do think that those restrictions should be lifted. And since we have not been able to achieve, most of the players you see like Divan Tia, all those players that left, they left from the Coach Keita initiative on 17, on 14 at the time. We cannot boast of players that we took directly from the national county meet that have gone to play in Europe or anywhere. So why are we having restriction on who plays in the league? Now, if we sit with clubs and the LFA, let's say the LFA is running this county meet, and we can have conversation, leave it open, feed the same players that we're feeding, but there has to be a balance of what the clubs get. Because as the former president of the Club President Association of Liberia, I know that clubs have been complaining that injuries and the clubs are benefiting nothing. So the way to address that is look at the intake, the financial revenue that is generated, and appropriate some of the financial revenues to the clubs, and say, okay, since we're getting $100 because you give your players, we will give $25 to the entire clubs. I think that will give relief, and we'll have quality of players play in the county meet. Believe me, when you look at football, it has to be a combination of experience and youthfulness.
Agreed.
So if you're taking players from third division and say all the third division players come and play on that field, you will not have the kind of quality. You need to mix it up. So second division players, saying that they're not going to play, I'm pretty sure. I've not looked into that a lot, but I'm pretty sure they're not playing because of incentives and other benefits that the clubs will be asking for. But I think that should be open. Because we are not, over the years, we can be doing the same thing. We have not achieved nothing on that level.
So pretty much it looks the same way we do have the Honor 23 competition in the world, where 3 overage players are allowed to play in that competition. Right. I think at the Olympic or something like that. Yeah. But I'm here with Chris, where you're watching Lfa Decides on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting. We're discussing various topics. Now we're on the issue of financial transparency and accountability. I want to ask you, will you support publishing the LFA financial records annually to public scrutiny? For the moment, we only have that discussion here whenever there is a Congress, whether it is extraordinary or ordinary Congress. But do you support the fact that since you say 5 million people follow football or own football in Liberia, should we publicly disclose the financial statement of the LFA to them?
No, we should not.
Why?
The reason is the Liberia Football Association gets nothing from national government. Sports is in the budget. Whatever that is coming to the association is coming to the national team. It comes through the Ministry of Youth and Sports to the national team. So our responsibility as an association is to provide documentations to the ministry to fight to the government. If, for example, what the senator is pushing now, Senator Sajo himself, that clubs will have football, because you see the money that comes to the budget, it comes to sports, and then it's separated. Then some comes to football. But if, for example, clubs will have funding coming directly from national government and come into the budget and say this is for Biamante, this is for Liska, and specify, or even just giving for football, and then it's distributed among the clubs, I would say that we are on an obligation to provide a financial statement to the public. But football being the way it is set up, funded by FIFA, government cannot get involved into football matters. Here's the reason. Here's how it gets bad. If you're going to put up your financial statement, to the entire country, and for whatever reason there are, people don't feel satisfied with whatever you post or see, there are misunderstanding of your financial records, it will cause serious problem in the country. The government will get involved. People will start jumping on stadiums. They will start going to LFA headquarters. Our people are easily convinced and they do not understand, do not articulate papers well, does not analyze well. So you give them financial statement and they don't know what it is. You see people running to the elevator to go and burn the elevator tomorrow. And in terms of obligation, if we're getting public money, we should be responsible to provide financial records to the public. Okay. But because we are not getting there, I don't think the FA should do that.
And on the record, okay, if you let at the level of the EC, will you be on record to point out wrongdoings at the LFA, especially if it affects the people who you form part of them as your allies today?
Definitely, I will do that. However, I've learned so much being opposition for this long. and I have learned that for you to change a system, you must be in a system. And you must be able to channel your disagreements. You must be able to have conversation internally. I cannot be an executive committee member that will promise you today that when I'm there, when I'm not happy with whatever going on, I'll go on Facebook or go to the media. No. However, I will use our internal procedures that we have to resolve some issues and be honest and tell people, listen, this is not right. This should be done this way. One of the problems that I have, and I'll tell you to do with this, with the Liberia Football Association, is the competition department. Quite recently, my player Janice was, part of my club. I brought that to the competition attention already. The player brought her own release letter. Senior professional club professional reached out to me. They wanted to buy the players. We discussed the figure. They said the money wasn't enough. The players sat home, refused to come for practice. 1 month later, we wrote the player, telling her, if you don't come for practice, you in breach of your contract. While we're in that conversation, the player took her own release letter and took it to the competition. And today she's playing for Senior Pro. Against Senior Pro, I talked to them. I called David. I spoke to him. I called the legal man, Benedict Yasia. I said the same thing. The technical department must be looking to it. And me being a supporter of the FA, I must also be truthful that they must be looking to, and thankfully, we are about setting up the league board, which I am a member of the league board, and those are things that we will fix.
But quite recently, the LFA took a decision against the technical department. I think the manager was suspended following the breach of player registration in the county league. So that tells you that, strict measures have been taken against the department before.
Yeah, and this one just happened again. Like I said, as I'm speaking to you, and even clubs that play senior professional might be looking into that as well. Go to the LFA and ask for the record how Chinese is playing with Senior Pro.
Okay, this is Chris GP. We are here with me, Ben Garper, on Lfa Decides 2026. This is very crucial. We talk business and conflict of interest.
Right.
You are a businessman with multiple enterprises in Liberia. How will you prevent, your conflict of interest between your business and the LFA?
So I'm into hospitality, and we do not, the LFA do not put up RFQ for that. I run my hotel and my.
What is RFQ for?
Request for qualification.
Okay.
I do not have a contract right now with FA. I don't think the FA will do that. However, though, me being a business person, if Lone Star decide to stay to my hotel, I don't see how that's conflicted. I run a business. If the LFA wants to go to my conference room, the business has its own manager. I don't see how that. Like I said, unless I am actually applying for a contract and say I want this contract, or the contract is for this fixed term, and then I'm benefiting from it, that's different, like a security firm. Providing security for LFA will definitely be a conflict, because I have a legitimate business that's doing that, but this is a hotel, it's accommodation. And instead of, if I offer a better rate, the LFA will want to save when they come to where they will get the cheapest rate from. So yeah, I don't see how I will be conflicted. I thought about this quite a while, but I really don't see how that would be a conflict of interest.
Okay, we'll follow up on that. One other key issue in line with that: should football administrators, in your opinion, be able to declare, to the public their business assets and accounts or something like that?
I don't think so. I do not think so, because the money that is being generated or given to EC members is per sitting. The president, will call meetings. I think it's around 400 or less.
400.
Exactly. So I don't see how over the year we divide that by 12 months. I don't see how that's going to be a margin for anybody. It's not like we have so much money. Then I would say yes. Declare asset from when you come in, when you leave in, because if the FA has to audit you, if you're in certain capacity, if you're heading certain projects. Now, and as I really think about that question now, there has to be other measures put in place when people are, and I think the FA has an interest of accountability, reports to who, financial records, scrutinized, and all of that. But I don't see the necessity of doing that. I don't think people will have to declare the assets when going into football. When you come to the presidency, I think the president should.
Okay.
Because we've seen accusations made by different stakeholders that this current president of farm had only one tree, and since the beginning of the president,
now
he got 15 trees there. He killed in sheep, and all sort of accusations that are unfounded, they are not true. So I strongly think that anyone who becomes the head of who becomes the president of the association must declare their asset when they leave in. When they come in, declare their asset when leaving, so we can understand. I mean, not publicly, but let's stakeholders know this is what I have, so we can understand your businesses. And when we see you doing well and acquiring properties, we should know the source of it. Because you see, there were times that I think the current president, if I'm wrong, you correct me, has said that he was not taking his pay from the FA. He's not going to take it, and I think he came back and reversed that. And he also gets paid from CAF. So things like that in your own private businesses, when people start asking questions, you can say, look, for me, if I become LFA president, I have my properties, I have my businesses. Nobody's going to come tell me that I have money. But when you come in and people don't understand your finances and they don't know where your money is coming from, they will speculate. Interestingly, we live in a very gullible society where people can see blue and they tell you it's red. And they will believe that it's red unless you're able to convince them. But when it comes to the level of the presidency, I think the president should declare his asset. And when the president appoints the 3 vice presidents, they should declare their assets. But all the other executive members, I don't think.
You don't think so?
No.
Chris Gible, we are here on Lfa Decides 2026. My name is Ben Garba. We just passed the hour mark. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk development of grassroots football, priority to women's football, and we'll also discuss election and some key things. So stay there if you can, right after this short break.
The interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Garba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026, beginning Monday, March 2 at 11 a.m. on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting. As the LFA heads the elections on April 18 in Maryland County, Intel Sports brings together key stakeholders for an interactive evaluation program titled Lfa Decides 2026. This platform provides 4 to 5 minutes of daily interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Garba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026, beginning Monday, March 2 at 11 a.m. on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting.
Thank you. Welcome back. You have the opportunity to have your say via telephone. Probably I'm not posting all the questions. I mean, come on, I can't post all the questions, but I'm pretty sure we're talking over a wide range of issues. So at this point in time, we'll discuss the development of grassroots football. Our next national team, we want to see the nation's next most celebrated soccer star, James Salins Adiba, I mean, Jonathan Borchardt, Singway, and all the other players we ever produced. I mean, that has to be coming from a very strong grassroots football development program. What is a concrete plan for grassroots football, especially outside of Monrovia?
So this current administration has started something. You know, one of my settings with the president, he introduced this Henry Brown's football academy, and he shared that vision with me. I was very, surprised that the president was taking in that direction. Over the years, we've had academies that, raise players and sell these players outside of the country with no financial benefits coming back to other clubs, as well as, coming back to us. The intent has always been that we will raise these players and then send them overseas to go and play. So realistically, the country does not see the productivity and we don't get the value of what we invest into. So I will align with what the association is doing to have an academy that is owned by clubs, owned by the Liberian Football Association, owned by clubs. When we grow our own players, we can evenly send these players out to clubs across the country, watch them develop and grow, put them through our youth programs. So it is my hope, and I will push that program will not just stop here; it will go across the country, and it will significantly help grassroots football to develop. The other thing that I'm also going to say when I, as when I become an executive committee member is that there has to be funding and support for these grassroots academies and third division teams. What they're getting right now, third divisions, I think football is not enough. We must look into that direction. But at one of our meetings when I was the head of the association, the Club President Association of Liberia, I remember the president said that since you guys getting all this money, why can't we just cut off some of the money and go down to grassroots football? Now, over time, when I thought about that, I was like, it makes sense. Don't everybody laugh about it. But the players, most of the players that we use in the upper league, first, second division, these players are coming directly from our third divisions and from grassroots. We go there, get the players and bring the players out. So for them to be sustainable is for us to make a sacrifice. So even though there is no money, but we should ensure that a little bit of our subvention that we get goes towards grassroots football development. Although, it may not be a most popular opinion. Some of my colleagues in the upper leagues may not like that. But I think if it means doing a deduction of even, $100, $200 a year to put towards what the FA is giving grassroots football, we should do that. Already you see the president, and they announced that they have plans to build infrastructure across the entire country. What that does is it comes with availability. It comes with access to that. Players in the lower league will have quality pitches to play it on. And then, look, this is one of the best part of football, and that's what I want to go and want to become an executive committee member. The issue about player accessibility, we've seen so many times. There have been road accidents when teams are traveling in there. Now, this government, national government, is bringing in tons of other machines that will help us to pave these roads and makes it easier for us to apply the roads to go out of country, to do scouting and see the players that are there. And it's easier as the LFA build these facilities to construct and build these small academies across the country, put some more money into them, straighten up the lower third division leagues, and do an expansion and build on that program. So it's not something different we're going to do. It's not something different I'm going to ask for, but I'm just going to help the FA to expand the Henry Yima Browns Academy to other parts of the country, give them access to these facilities that we're building, strengthen the third division league some more, put a little bit of funders into the third division leagues. If it means that the FA can solicit sponsorship directly from companies for third division, or if not that, go into the social corporate responsibility of these companies in those areas and say, okay, since we're giving third division teams, it's much for subvention. Can we just take that? Can you just take your support and apply some towards our third division teams, and we'll take care of the first division teams? We have to have conversations. In the absence of putting money into grassroots football, we will not get the kind of players that we want. We have to invest into infrastructure. We have to invest. And I mentioned to someone the last time, I said that as a business person, if I'm granted the opportunity, I'm capable of building these, around these stadiums, building accommodations around these stadiums, so that when, for example, a club is going to Nimba, Ganta, they will necessarily don't have to go to the other hotels that are there.
Luxury hotels.
Right. They do not have to go to the elevator hotel that will be constructed. They can just check in next door to it. Already the president has given us my green light to build sports stores in these stadiums. That's something we're looking at right now.
Okay.
To build football stores where you can have your booths and everything in all these facilities here.
Good prices.
Yeah, very good. We're working on that. So you go on and fill your booths, but you don't have to leave from there and go somewhere else. You got it built within the facility. So there are ways that we will help grassroots football, but that's what I will do.
So it means it's empowering the counties so much. So does that bring us to the further? For me, I would love to propose as to whether county authorities in football, the subdivision level, should they have their voice? Should they be decision makers?
They should, but again, the whole thing. See, the county officials, the whole thing is politicized because you have the national county meets, where every county wants to be the head, every county wants to take the county meet, the proud come back to the country, the officials, but Mangibi is doing something new. And me being a member of the MSA, what we're doing now is that we breeded our own players. We will do the inter high school league across Mangibi. We will organize our own tournaments across Mangibi. We want to grow our own players. What we experience allegedly that our game was sold against Neymar.
Okay.
We believe that when a player is not from that county, they do not have loyalty to the county. Okay. So they can easily sacrifice the county's game because they're not from there. So what we want to do now is to ensure that we started as early as next week to ensure that we're able to raise and grow our own player who are actually from Mangibi, born and raised in Mangibi,
will play for
Mangibi and will represent the county. If that means that Mangibi will not win the next 3 county meets, our projection is the next 5 county meets. We should have local grown residents within Mangibi that will represent us. That when we lost the game in Montserrat, they will be going back to go and sleep and understand the anguish and the frustration from the people. We're trying to fix that. So in the absence of that, local officials, will not have a voice in grassroots football because the aim and objective is not for grassroots players. They look for players that are already mature and playing because their goal is to go for the cup. They're not looking at can we come to grassroots football and raise our own. But I think Mangibi now is taking the charge to do that, and it will be quite different.
Okay, let's talk women football. We'll have small time left. We'll open the phone lines to interact, even with those listening to Radio Mangibi and also viewing Intersports on this presentation of Lfa Decides. We haven't talked a lot about women's football. Permanent look that with Salan. So what are you going to do to ensure that it is not Salan as we have done in the last 45 minutes or so?
Yeah, I am a strong proponent of women football, and I do think that there's a little piece. The first thing is, you saw the money from LPRC. Part of that money went into women football. The LFA, I believe, some part of this year gave an additional $400 to the lower league teams. You can see that when this president, Mr. Mustafa Raji, whom is a very smart gentleman, when he took over the association, we had less female teams than we have now. You can see the competition. Prior to that, right now you see how the league is. Shatta is just right beyond Titemegers. It's CM Pro is picking up. So when it comes to the upper league, there has been quite some improvement done in financial contribution to the upper league. The lower league that has in, and that lower league is going to change to a second division after the April. So that gives us the space now to create a third league for women's football. However, though, as we are creating these leagues, we must identify source of funding. I don't think that, and it's happening unfortunately, but I don't think that, male should get more money than what the female team should be getting. Even if the margin is going to be huge, it should not be about 50%.
But not many people turn up for women games. I agree they play 10:30, 11:30, but that is still no excuse.
Because I'll tell you, one of my countries that I came from that I'm from is Canada. A few years ago, you would never hear about the Canadians men's team until you saw Alfonso Davis. But we put so much money into women football that when you start hearing Christian Sinclair, you talk about Canada, they talk about women football. So for years, for the last 6-7 years, Canada's football was driven by the Feed the Women because of how much money you put into it. Whatever men can do, women can do the same. You got the same quality, but because we are not putting in that much money, so you see the interest is less. But I bet the exact money that we put into the male's football, if we put that into females football, regardless of when they play, you will see people going on the field.
We'll see how that turn out to be. Yeah. Currently, the cash price for women upwards league is 20,000 United States dollars, which is is 10,000 less than what is being given to First Division football champions in Liberia. Let's open up the phone lines to you. I will place the numbers right on the screen there. I can squeeze in a few callers if you do have the time. Probably didn't ask all the questions to Mr. Weir. You can post a few questions to him and he will take it directly. Call me if you can on those numbers that are on the screen. 088-958-4654 5319 or 076-051-2174. And I can call the numbers again, 088-958-5319, 076-051-2174. Before the calls can come in, Mr. Weir, democracy and 2026 elections, do you believe these elections in April, Harpert, Maryland County, will be free, fair, and transparent?
Yes, I believe in the committee that was set up by us at Congress, approved by Congress. I believe that they have the expertise to run elections, and we have guidelines, we have rules that governs our elections. So I strongly believe that it will be free and fair.
What will you do if the process has been questioned by stakeholders who are going on to lose or on the other side of the divide?
Every election is not like an entire country going to vote. We know the people that are going to vote for, I think, 46 or so, member associations and affiliates is going to vote. It's going to be a secret ballot for the election. It doesn't take a lot. There will be observers there. There are other people that will be there. So I found it I know that, I personally think that Mr. Cassell should not be, by our law, should not be eligible. So I know that's where the noise will come from. People will say, oh, he's not on the ballot and it was not free and fair. But we got rules and we got to uphold them. That's why we got these things on books to hold them. So I don't think he will be eligible. And I can see where they will come and say that there was cheating in that. But other than that, we'll go to election. I'm trusting that football stakeholders will not say that the election is not free and fair, because doing that is jeopardizing the process and preempting that, our electoral process is not thorough. I don't see how that's going to happen.
And assuming that Anthony Cassell Cole is on the ballot box, will you accept defeat if the leadership that you support, that you have sat and said lots of good things about, go on to lose?
So if by mistake,
what do you call mistake?
If by mistake he's on the ballot, I'm going to the processes from the LFA. I'm going to cast myself, not the LFA. But
even if you lose, even if you win
before the election,
even if you win as a
before the election, we're not going to go to elections. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
If Mr. Kaur, based on our rules, if the LFA says Mr. Kaur is eligible, I am going to put an injunction on the election, and we will follow the entire process until we reach to CAS, to FIFA, and I'm going to challenge that, because I think that we have laws on the book that he should not be eligible, and we must uphold those laws. So if he's eligible, if the committee determines that he's eligible, then we have to go for interpretation of our laws to FIFA, and I will be the one pushing that. I don't think he should be on the ballot in the first place, right? So there will be no election if he's on it.
And very lastly, on this subject matter of election and so forth, currently we have 3 term limits. Okay, the president and other committee members are going for the third term. Many people think that it's too long and that there should be term limit, at least 2. What are your thoughts?
Stakeholders will always say that, but there are ways you can change laws. All our statutes that we have, they will not, we make the law. There are provisions for you to amend that. They will not, watch what I'm telling you today. After this April election, you will never hear about this 2022 going to another election. It's been like that. People will say that. I agree that it's too long, but why can we change it? We make the law, there are provisions that we can change it. But you only hear this kind of noise going around. It started from Bedede time. They will say the same thing. If it wasn't because of the FIFA ascension, Honorable Musa Bedede would have contested for a third term. But he didn't. He chose to now. It doesn't mean that it's not on the books. It's on the books. But we do not talk about it until we're getting close to the election. After the election, we say nothing about it.
They won't take any step.
No, they won't do anything. We won't say anything until we go to election again.
It's been a very interesting election. Personally, history may remember you as someone who switched sides. Okay,
right.
How do you want football to remember Chris Weir?
I want football to remember me by my contributions across the sector, from different institutions, from the Sports Medics Association to the Coaches Association. I have contributed to them in so many ways. I've invested in clubs in this country. I've owned clubs in this country. I want football to remember me as someone who once said some things that was said because the information that was provided was inaccurate. That as an academician, I recognize that those things that were said to be about the current president, they were not true. I definitely and align with this administration for my own conscience and for the good of football, that I support Mr. Mustafa Rajid. So I make decisions based on my contributions to that. So I want you to remember me for what I've done for football in Liberia.
And many people think that you are supporting the leadership because of influence and not for football. Can you come clear on that?
I am supporting this president because, one, he's done so much infrastructure. There has been improvement in our leagues. It's not 100%. I agree. But I think that you don't know Mustafa until you sit and have meeting with the association. Then you will know what he's done. Mustafa has prepared us from Liberia to WAFU to CAF to FIFA. This is someone that has set standard by the way he's treated. Someone that had led Liberia football on the international stage. The issue about the national team is another area because it's not an Lfa responsibility on that. But what do you want? Do you want someone that built a relationship, that you have another person that will come and follow in the same footstep and have that person guiding through? Or you want a president that will just walk away from football and say, okay, since you don't want me, I'm going to sit on the FIFA. You bring another person that starts building a new relationship. It's not like that. It's not like that. So the reason why some of us are supporting Mustafa is that we believe that even after Mustafa has served his term and left football, he got the connections and the will to have Liberia, be on a different recognition level internationally. You see, people now from Liberia, individuals from Liberia now are with WAFU on different committees, match commissioners, FIFA match commissioners. I mean, you can see what's happening around this guy is because of the connections and what he has built. So I don't think it's someone that we should just say, while it is true that we have 3 times on the boat, we just say don't go for 3 times because we don't want you to do that. You just be like another Liberia that keep trying different presidents all the time.
And maybe lastly, one word. Will you again oppose Mustafa Raji if necessary? In one word.
No. No, I will not. I will not. I'll tell you this. I would rather leave football and go run my businesses than to go and oppose or criticize Mustafa. Again, it's a big mistake that I made, and I'm never going to do that.
Okay, we're going to be here for hours, if not days. We could be here as ever, but the program has to come to an end. We've discussed a lot. We touched on grassroots, women football, leadership, integrity, vision, and so forth. But is there anything we didn't say or discuss? You just want to cap this interview on before we go?
Yes, I want to speak to football stakeholders directly. When you go into Maryland, it's quite a drive away. As you drive to go to Maryland, as the dust goes over your vehicles, I want you to remember that you're making a decision for over 5 million people. To not make a decision that will come back and hurt us. For so long, we've never gone to African Cup of Nations. We've never gone to the World Cup. Not that we haven't gone there, but we cannot get there. We can get there. But because we've been separated and divided by rhetoric and lies in football. It is now time that we all come together and work together and elect people like me that can get the job done. Vote for me as an executive committee member, and I can assure you that football in this country, by my contribution and my support to this current administration, is going to get better than what it is, and there will be room for improvement. So think about it. You're going to drive a couple of hours to go to Maryland. You're not going there because you want to see Harper City. You're going there because you want to make a decision for thousands of people. And it is my hope that I will be that one person that will be on your mind as you drive to go to Maryland. To vote. We will be providing transportation as well for stakeholders that cannot get to Maryland.
Chris, we are campaigning beforehand. The April Fools there. My name is Ben Gagba, breaking this interesting conversation of Lfa Decides 2026 to an end. I would succinctly say, always remember Lfa Decides 2026 on Intel Sports, your passion for broadcasting.
From grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard over the next 6 weeks. The upcoming election for President and Executive Committee members promises transparency, unity, and progress for our beautiful game. Join me, Ben Gagba, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026 beginning Monday, March 2 at 11 a.m. on Intel Sports, the passion for broadcasting. As the Lfa heads to elections on April 18 in Maryland County, Intel Sports brings together key stakeholders for an interactive evaluation program titled Lfa Decides 2026. This platform provides 45 minutes of daily interaction, giving every member of our football family, from grassroots clubs to national heroes, an opportunity to have their voice heard. At 11 a.m. and take part in shaping the future of Liberian football. Your vote and your voice matter. Don't miss Lfa Decides 2026, beginning Monday.